What's up, my friends? Big Friendly back with another video for y'all. Got two classic Activision early release sports titles. In fact, I think boxing, which came out in 1980, was released with their original set of games they came out with. And ice hockey came out a year later in 81. Interesting that boxing is only a 2 kilobyte game. Them boys over at Activision, they could squeeze blood from a turnip, couldn't they? Because you would never think that. I mean, I know it's very ordinary, but still, 2K, wow. I found this old ad I wanted to show y'all from the newspaper. I want to say this was from Christmas of 1981, simply because I think that's when ice hockey came out, and you see the price of it. It's higher than all the other Activision games at the bottom of the ad. You can see what they were charging for some of the other Atari games at that time. Again, I think this is Christmas of 1981. Hope y'all can see that okay. Now, I never actually owned boxing or hockey for the 2600 years ago, but there were two boys up the street from me. They're a little younger than I was, named Ricky and Randy. They were brothers, and they had both of these games, and I do remember playing them quite a bit, especially during the summertime at their house. We lived out in the sticks in the country, and jump on my bike just about a quarter mile up the road, go hang out, play some Atari with them. I can remember them almost playing these games, especially Randy. I mean, he was the younger brother, so he would get mad if he started losing a lot, and Ricky'd rub it in, and Randy hit the reset button, and I had to get in between them a couple of times. They wanted to go at it, get into a good old fight. One thing I've always loved about these two games, boxing and ice hockey, was just how simple they were. I mean, you could pop the cartridge in, play for 5-10 minutes and turn it off. I mean, and another cool thing, I didn't come up with this idea, I remember hearing about this though, was that somebody said they used to put a post-it note over the scores of each, at the top of the screen, so you couldn't see them while you're playing, and you didn't know if you were winning or not. And as the timer went down, it kind of added to the excitement of the match, so to speak. But both these games are not hard to find. They're very common, and again, if you have somebody to play with, they're a lot of fun. But the computer's not bad. It really is crazy to think that as me making this video right now, this game is 44 years old. Man, I'm getting old. That just seems so hard to believe. The programmer of this game, Bob Whitehead, he was one of those original guys that was at Atari and left to go to help form Activision. Now, Bob made a lot of other games too. I'll show you that real quick. I do want to mention real quick though that this is one of the few Activision games that did not come with a patch. If you got a high score or whatever. Bob Whitehead, you can see he did a lot of work years ago. Some of these games are the same. The Sears games are the same as the Atari ones. They just have a different name. Like baseball and home run are the same. But you can see he did a lot of stuff. He did a lot of Atari's early titles. Chopper Command, of course, is a classic, also by Activision. Skiing, I remember playing that one too. Stampede. Stampede is also a 2K game. Also, it only has 2 kilobytes of ROM. And of course, Video Chess. I never played that, but I always heard that it took forever for the computer to make his move, and he would cheat also and move pieces around. Hey everybody, just wanted to say thank you so much for watching the video, and if you're enjoying it, do me a quick favor and hit that like button. It only takes a second, and it really helps me out. And if you're enjoying my videos, I'd be grateful if you think about subscribing. And if you really want to make my day, like, subscribe, and share it with your buddies. Thanks a lot. All right, here we go with good old ice hockey by Activision. again, just like with boxing, it's real simple, easy to pick up and play, but there's just a certain amount of, even though it doesn't look like much, there's a lot more to the game as far as the strategy and everything goes. And the computer's a pretty good opponent. Now, it's a lot more fun with 2 players, just like most sports games, instead of just playing against a computer. But back in these days, having the computer to play against was a lot of fun, because most of these games were 2-player only, or if it did have a CPU opponent, they were just terrible. I remember Real Sports Football for the 2600. It was like that. It's a shame too. I liked playing it, but man, you had to have 2 people. On this, you can at least practice, and it's still fun by yourself. I am curious. Telling the story earlier about the kids up the road, Ricky and Randy. Did you have a sibling or maybe even a friend that you would play these kind of games against years ago, and things would sometimes not necessarily get physical, but maybe the teasing went too far? I had another buddy of mine. This is when we were older. This is when we were playing with the Genesis. When the Madden games came out for the Genesis, we were just going crazy playing those. We'd get the first 3 or 4 games that came out in the series. We got all of them, and we really got into it. And I had this friend of mine named Terry. Still friends with him to this day. And Terry was a good guy, but he didn't like to lose. He didn't mind telling you when he was winning. He'd be the halftime stats would come up, and he was getting his butt kicked. Oh, we don't want to look at that. He'd hit the button. You just see it. Or we used to call him the reset king, because he would always he would get mad and hit the reset button on the console when he was getting his ass kicked. Yeah, but anyway, all in good fun, all in good fun. Thinking back, and I actually made a video about the game from years ago that the competition used to get really intense with me and my buddies was Baseball Stars for the original Nintendo, the NES. We had some serious leagues. You could play really long leagues in that thing. It was 4 or 5 of us usually in the league. It'd take several weeks for us to finish, and it seemed like we were playing a lot. Back in those days, it seemed like we all had plenty of time. But one of my old friends, another one I'm still pretty tight with to this day, named Morgan. He said he blamed Baseball Stars for almost flunking a semester at college because we were just so addicted and playing it so much. There was this one other time I remember. This is a little different, but I guess this is about 20 years ago. I was playing the PS2 with my ex-wife has 3 nephews, and we were playing one of the Tekken games. I can't remember if it was 4 or 5 for the PS2. Anyway, the middle boy, his name's Tucker. He might have been 10, maybe. But anyway, he found a couple of moves, and he was just whipping my ass and taking me to the woodshed. And the last thing you want to do is let some little kid know that he's bothering you. So what did I do? I took my beat down like a man and got the hell out of there. And then practiced up so I could whip his little ass the next time I played against him. Since I'm pretty sure the people who watch my videos are like 99% men, as you would expect. But I'd love to hear from y'all in the comments. Did you have friends that got into any kind of fights because of competition in the video games? Or maybe you had a sibling. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories from many years ago. I definitely didn't want to forget about Alan Miller, because he was also a pretty big time game maker years ago. Of course, he was with Atari too when he started out. He was one of the first guys that went to Activision. One thing about hockey that's different, ice hockey that's different than a lot of the Activision games, I guess because it was so early on, it does have a patch you can get. And you can't see this. I know it's hard to read that at the bottom, but basically you just had to send a letter in to them. If you had a witness, have them sign that said that you actually, beat the computer or whatever. Kind of different than later on when they wanted a Polaroid of the TV screen. I just want to show y'all real quick Alan Miller's background in programming. As you can see, he was very busy early on, did a lot of Atari stuff. Everybody remembers basketball, chase, checkers, hangman, a lot of those, very basic early games that Atari released. Now, with Activision, he did some classics. I mean, he's got, of course, he made Ice Hockey Robot Tank. That's everybody loves that game. Star Master, another popular game. Now, checking out the rarity of these games, like I said earlier, they're easy to find. I think they're exactly the same. A 2 for the standard label and a 3 for the blue label, which I never cared for, really. I never liked those blue labels, even though the regular labels bleed through and everything. I just thought they looked a little bit nicer when you compared the two. And jump over here to Ice Hockey, and you see it's the same thing, 2 and 3. Okay, over here on eBay, actually checking out the action on these games, you can see here, there's one with a boxing manual for $25. Look at that, looks pretty nice. I like the sticker on it. Let's click on that one. Yeah, it looks pretty cool, but it's a little rough around the edges, but only $24. Good condition. Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's one with some writing on it for $7, $6. So yeah, it's not much to this. Let's, just for fun, if I can find it, sold items. And there's one, $20. Looks like it's got the box. You can get some others mixed in. There's one for $6, $7. See, you can get this game for really cheap, and it's so much fun to play, especially if you got a human opponent. But even if you want a boxed copy or a copy with instructions, you can see how cheap it is. Now let's jump over to Ice Hockey. Check it out. Brand new sealed, $75. There's people selling labels. You can find those replacement labels because they bleed through. I think these are all fake, just reproductions. I've seen this guy before. He sells cases of old games. He's from Colombia, I think. 22, again, real cheap. And let's see what they're actually paying on. Okay, $20, $6. Somebody paid the $75 or best offer. I wish they'd show you that. They don't show you the actual price. See, $10. So yeah, it's nothing to this. This is a game. If you want to own one, you can get it for real cheap, and it's a lot of fun.